Hey, Bucs UK. Let's go, baby.
Woo!
Let's do it.
Tampa Bay. Let's go.
Why don't you wheel it back a little bit?
Hooray!
Hello and welcome to the Bucs UK TV podcast. What you just saw there was a hello from the Bucs UK Cayman Islands branch. That's right, as you heard in an earlier episode, we have some members, expats that have moved out there. So that was nice of them to record us a little ditty. And now on to the rest of the main episode. Now the season's underway, so this week we'll be reviewing what happened in the Saints and looking ahead and previewing what happened with the Panthers. My hosts today, we've got Alex.
Hi there, everyone.
And we have Tim.
Hi all.
And we have Gary.
Hello.
That's our crew today. And remember, we want to hear your comments as well. This is very much for you to take part. So do make comments on the forum, send us an email to mail@bucsuk.org, or you can WhatsApp us on 07311 212 713. We want your views. And last of all, if you've been joining in with all of this and you actually want to join up with the club, go to bucsuk.org/join.php and get involved. If you're a Bucs fan and you're in the UK, we really want to hear from you. So now, without any further ado, we shall go back and trawl over the entrails that was the game against the Saints. So looking back against what happened against the Saints, we will hear from our esteemed pundits. We'll go through what happened on offense, what happened on defense, what happened on special teams, and we'll even ask them what they would do if they were the ones holding the magic wand on the sideline. So Alex, maybe if we start with you, what was your take on the offense?
For the first 7 minutes, I was very impressed. We went down the first drive and Brady rang it in for the touchdown. The first drive, I think that's the first drive I've watched as a Bucs fan where I felt calm, knowing that we had a quarterback that I felt I could trust, running that offense and taking us down the field. And then I think we then began to see an offense that lacked pre-season games. They lacked that time to gel. Because that's when the mistakes crept in. We saw the interception from Brady. I think that was on the second drive, if I remember correctly. And then I think the following drive, he then threw the pick six as well. So the first bit was good. I saw some good signs there. That gave me hope. And, there were signs that I thought, yes, we can get something going. And give it time, I think we'll have a really good offense this season.
Okay, and Tim, what would you say about the O?
It was disappointing. It was my first thought. Yeah, we started well, but then the Bucs then reverted back to type. Too many silly errors, but mainly on offense. The offensive line, both pass protecting and run blocking, were pretty poor. There was no drive going forward, and I know he'll be mentioned quite a few times today. Donovan Smith lacks footwork to be any sort of a quality left tackle in this league. Mike Evans wasn't fit, period. I don't know quite what he was doing out there. Overall, a good start, but reverted to last year's type.
Gary, would you agree with that?
Not entirely, to be honest. Certainly I would with the first drive. There was nothing wrong with that. I actually said on the forum that it's a well-oiled machine, and that's what it looked like on the first drive. But you have to remember, the Saints have got continuity and we haven't. We've got a lot of new pieces. We had a new right tackle, new quarterback, new tight end. Yes, they played together, but they haven't had a preseason. Not even a scrimmage against another team.
And I think that's more important for the O than it is for the D. So
Absolutely.
The D, obviously, yes, they're practicing, yes, they've got schemes, but they're reacting. Whereas I think with the offense, if you're not in sync, if you're not running to tune, you're going to self-defeat, aren't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely you are. And as I say, the Saints have continuity. We haven't. they saw what we were doing. They changed their whatever they needed to change to combat us, and it worked.
Tim, you
I would
mentioned
just like to,
oh, sorry, go on, Alex.
Sorry, Kieron. I'd just like to add, I think what Gary just said about Tristan Wirfs, I think he does deserve a mention for his debut in the NFL. I thought he was really solid on absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Definitely worth a round of applause there. He was really solid on that right hand side, and I'm really pleased that he's now a Buccaneer. I think he's going to be brilliant for us.
There's an argument that he was better as right tackle than Donovan Smith was at left tackle.
Absolutely, I think that's 100%.
I will say Wirfs had a baptism of fire trying to handle Hayward, and he more than came through that battle quite easily. Whereas unfortunately on the other side, Donovan Smith playing his second and third pass rushers couldn't stop anything. And that was the weak link.
There's one thing you mentioned, Tim, earlier about the running game.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of focus about Brady and the interceptions and was Evans ready, and but actually the running game I kind of think is going to be more important this year because Tom needs that running game to lean off. We need the play action.
Yeah, I agree. Tom Brady is not designed in his 40s now to throw you 45 passes a game. He's not designed to throw long passes, particularly, as we saw on the interception. That out was never going to get there. But the key part is Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette have got to run the ball better, but it's not up to them. It's up to the 5 guys up front to get off that line with a bit more snap. I was really disappointed. I thought last year, Kappa, Jensen and Marpet started to provide that going forward at the season end. Now, it could be down to lack of training camp, as people have said previously, that we weren't quite ready. Fingers crossed.
I was just going to say, just bear in mind that Leonard Fournette has only been on the team for a matter of days. So he was never going to be a major factor in that game. And the other point I'd take, just a very minor issue with my colleague from the Welsh Valleys there, is about Mike Evans. Yes, he was dealing with a hamstring. But if, I played rugby, Tim played rugby. I'm sure, Tim, you've had a hamstring niggle at some point.
I was never enough of an athlete.
But you're not going to go herring down the sideline at full pelt as he did on that 40-yard pass interference if you've got a dodgy hamstring.
Yeah.
The commentary team actually said that they thought he might well have been acting as a bit of a decoy for the others during Lattimore and sacrificing his own stats. I think that's
a fair point actually, because if you look at the amount of plays or passes, shall I say, that Scotty Miller and Chris Godwin got in particular, Evans wasn't thrown to, I think he was thrown to maybe 3 or 4 times in the game, 5 max, and one of them was that touchdown he scored towards the end. So I think it's very likely he was more there as a decoy to get Lattimore out of the way so we could use our other wide receivers.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, but we've got our best wide receiver in the league acting as a decoy against what are the favourites for the NFC title. If we're going to make a statement, we need to come out of the gate a bit quicker than that and better than that.
That's right, Tim. But just bear in mind that the Saints always handle Mike Evans really well.
Yeah.
He's never really had a good game against them. He gets into it with Lattimore every single game. So, I hope he gets back on track. I've got 3 fantasy teams and he's in all 3. So I need him to have some good games.
He's in mine as well, Gary, so I need him to get moving.
Yeah, there's no doubt he will.
There are a couple of plays where I thought Evans, walk away, calm down. But actually, I don't know whether this is schemed or just the way it turned out, but Evans, Lattimore, okay, they cancel each other out. And I'm kind of okay with that because after that, we shone. Godwin, I thought, looked really dangerous. But I think, Alex, you mentioned him first. Scotty Miller wasn't playing like wide receiver 3. I mean, he's got a very light, slight build, but he was everywhere.
Yeah.
I think Scotty Miller is going to be Brady's new Edelman, but obviously for us as Bucs, I think he's going to be that man that Brady will look to in those key moments, which he did. There was, I think, one play where it was one of the longest. I can't remember how long it was, but it was a deeper pass than some of the others Brady had thrown, and Miller took us a good distance down the field. So I think watch out for that Brady and Miller partnership as the season progresses. That could be really key for us.
Yeah, Alex's analogy, I'm quite right, of Miller and Edelman. He will see him in the same way. And I actually wrote one of my notes, Scotty Miller will possibly catch a lot of balls this season for that very, very reason.
He will, and if you notice the one thing about the game he had on Sunday, it wasn't just the same type of pass. It wasn't the little 2-yard dunk or the 5-yard out route, to the left or whatever. It was all over the field, sideline, down the middle, in the slot, you name it. So if that continues, you're right, he's going to have a big year.
I guess the question is, one thing we were talking about in the preseason is spraying the ball around, making sure all of our talent gets the action. For me, it meant that actually what happened was we didn't use the tight ends as much as I thought we would. And I must admit, I'm rubbish at spotting the players on the field. But was Cam Brait even out there?
Very rarely. We played 2 tight ends with OJ and Gronk. But again, Gronk, I think he deliberately avoided him on Sunday because the Saints expected him to throw a lot of balls his way early on. And a bit like Evans, maybe a bit of a decoy with name, maybe not fully match fit yet because of being off last season.
And normally it's Brait that we'd see down in the end zone, and I think maybe that's where Gronk's going to come into it.
I absolutely. I don't think we didn't really see much of the tight ends in general. I think they were used more in the blocking game. I certainly saw Gronk blocking more than anything, and I think OJ Howard, when he was on, yes, he made a couple of catches, but I think he was used there as well. So maybe that, I don't know. Maybe that's Arians trying to show us that actually he still does have a bit of concern with that O line, considering the fact he is still using our top tight ends to help try and block when Brady's throwing and when we're trying to get the running game going.
So before anyone has a chance to come back to Donovan Smith, let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. We can start ganging up on Vita Vea instead. So let's start with you, Gary. Go in reverse order. How did you find the D against the Saints?
I thought the D played for the first game of the season really, really well. I've got no complaints at all. You keep the Saints as a team to 270 yards, I think it was. We shut down the running game. That was a good continuation from last year. Michael Thomas, 17 yards. 17 yards. That's the second lowest total he's had in his career. So, as we said, first game, no preseason. We've gone to probably the hardest place to win a game. I think possibly Seattle or Kansas City fans might argue otherwise, but not many teams are going to win in the Superdome. So especially, to hold them to what they did, I thought they did great.
And Michael Thomas, obviously, set the record last year for receptions, but obviously they have Emmanuel as well. So they brought in talent to make it even harder to cover Thomas, and we still did it.
Well, that's true, but Sanders probably may well have taken away some of the targets that Thomas would have had. And of course, Kamara's fit this year, and apparently he wasn't last year. So there's no way Thomas is going to have as big a year, but we shut him down completely.
Good positive. Tim, do you agree with that?
I do. When you look at the score and you see 34 points, you think, defense didn't go well. When you see the stats behind it, that didn't show half of how well they played. Slightly disappointed front four, didn't get as much pressure as I thought, but it is a very good offensive line in New Orleans. But what did impress me, I thought the defensive backs, as Gary said, really stepped up. Sean Murphy bunt in early on, criticised the pick last year, or was criticised in Tampa for the pick last year. Absolutely superb. Carlton Davis must be getting into the top 10 now of cover corners in this league. And then the two best players I think we still got on defense, and people disagree with me, in Levante David and Devin White. They were absolutely everywhere. Devin White to start with, and then Levante David picked up the mantle throughout the rest of the game. They were superb. Bit of work to do up front, slightly, but
I think it's an interesting choice you highlight David as well as White, because I feel like White seems to be getting all the headlines, but they really do work well as a tandem.
They're the best tandem inside in the league. Full stop. Full stop.
So, Alex, what was your take then on that side of the ball?
Overall, I agree with Tim and Gary. I thought I was impressed overall. Again, in terms of stopping the run, we were still really good. Kamara didn't have an awful lot of space. I think his biggest was something like 7 or 8 yards, so he didn't get a huge amount of space to work there. In terms of Levante David and Devin White, absolutely, I think they are. I agree. I think they're the best line back pairing going. It's such a shame for me that Levante David is overlooked constantly by the NFL because he is, as far as I'm concerned, that good a player. I think he's one of the best linebackers up there. Devin White looks even better than he did last year. I think he looks a bigger, tougher, stronger. Some of the hits he made. I thought Golston did pretty good as well. He made a couple really good hits, breaking through the line and stopping the Saints making progress. And as you say, our defensive backs, they stepped up compared to last season. Yeah, we gave up a few deep balls, but all teams are going to do that. But overall, I was really impressed with the defense, definitely.
Yeah, Will Golson was only on the field for, I think it was 34 snaps. So probably half the defensive snaps, and he had, I think, 7 tackles.
For those snaps he was on, he was great. Absolutely, yeah.
He has played well, a lot better in the last 2 to 3 years. There was a chance for us getting rid of him about 3 seasons ago. Last year, I thought he was superb, and he started well again this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And just one comment on following up from what Alex said about Devin White. Remember, second game of the year last year, he got injured and he wasn't really the player that we now know until the last few games of the season. So what he's actually done is just carried on where he left off.
Yeah, he is absolutely superb. If he keeps going like this, and this is going to be a big thing to say, he will be the new Derek Brooks of this team.
I'll take that. That would be brilliant. Absolutely, I agree.
With his speed to the ball, the way Brooks used to mark Vic out of games and people like that, that's the type of player we need. If he flies on that field and Levante David, already Devin White is the captain of this defense. Already.
For me, that says a lot as well. The fact that the team have voted him a captain this early into his NFL career, it shows that the team respect him. It shows that they feel he's a good player. You don't get made a captain if you're not a good player. Let's be honest.
Indeed.
So clearly, there's a lot of respect, and he's highly rated amongst us Bucs fans, and clearly very highly rated by the team. So that's a great sign for me, and we see that on the field as well.
Yeah, and bear in mind that this is actually, with 1 or 2 exceptions, a very young defense. So they're only going to get better.
Yeah, I agree. We're in a good position on defense.
So then the third part of our equation, it is a third of the game after all, special teams. They took a bit of flack, I think, from when I was reading the press. But I don't know. I think there were some areas that were good and some areas that weren't. What do you think, Alex?
Overall, I thought it was okay. There's only 2 moments I remember that I really just went, goodness me. And that was the blocked field goal, and it was the kickoff. Was that in the 4th quarter? It was definitely in the second half, when I can't remember who it was, but we had the 2 players from special teams who just did not communicate and fumbled that ball and gave Saints that amazing field position. Apart from that, I thought special teams did a pretty solid job. And for me, the fumble on the kickoff, that's just basic communication. That's not difficult to fix. That's just 2 players not talking and not focusing on during the play. So overall, I don't think special teams is a huge worry at the moment. Let's hope it stays that way. Just sort out that communication, and I think we'll be all right there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Pooch kickoff was all Mike Edwards' fault. He was the player running back. And as a rugby union player and any sport, it's easier to take the ball, running towards it and catching it over your head. So why he was getting anywhere near it, don't know. And yeah, I agree. Micken should have been shouting as loud as possible at him.
That's what we used to say. Put a name on it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you can't hear when there's hardly any crowd noise, because that crowd noise that they were pumping in was rubbish.
The crowd noise wasn't an issue. Arian said he felt sorry for the Saints.
Yeah, so there was no reason why Edwards was anywhere near that ball.
What do you think, Gary?
Well, again, I'm afraid I have to disagree very slightly with my colleagues. The word I would use for special teams was mediocre. I can't really put anything on it other than that. I think we've got a kicker now. He's not a long field goal kicker. His career long is 54 yards. In fact, I looked up his stats today. He's 20 of 38 from 50 yards and more. But overall, he's an 82% kicker. So, they said last week, didn't they, Arians, there's no point in kicking a 56-yarder if you're going to miss the 34-yard. So what you want is a kicker that when he walks up to the ball, he's going to do it. And I think anything...
So he might not necessarily win it for us, but he's not going to lose it.
Absolutely. I mean, anything sort of 45 yards in, then you expect them to get it. Just the point Alex made about the block field goal, I had a real good look at that today on a slow motion frame by frame. And the right side of the line, which was Donovan Smith, Alex Kappa, Tristan Wirfs, and it looked an awful lot like Vita Vea. If it wasn't him, it was a really big guy wearing number 50. And there was those four, and there was 6 Saints linemen lined up against them, and they just bull rushed the gap. And Kappa fell over. The kicker's got not a cat in hell's chance.
And I saw on every field goal, that was the side they overloaded as well. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, you would blame the kicker for that miss.
So I'm not blaming him at all.
No, not at all.
No.
Sorry, Gary.
The other part of special teams that is not mentioned or hasn't been mentioned so far, the return game. Our return game for years has been woeful. I mean, the kickoffs, that's a joke. Nobody returns a kickoff now. You might not even bother taking a kickoff. Just put the ball on the 25. But we need to get a punt returner. We need to get a punter that's going to boom it deep to stop them returning, because they had a heck of a return game.
I thought Pinion did okay. I thought Bradley
really
Pinion, he had a couple of really good kicks.
Well, he did, but he also had a couple of really bad ones. He had one that only went 30-odd yards.
Yeah, one I can remember, he got totally wrong. But the boy returning kicks for New Orleans, you give him a few yards of space, he was beating everybody. So, well, we haven't got that type of player. Or maybe Mickens is, but we didn't see it at all on Sunday.
Well, I mean, Mickens was only anointed, with the sort of the 11th hour before the game anyway, so it's clearly not somewhere that's solidified. Maybe with the practice squad rules that we can try a few more people out and swap them in and out of the roster if we think we can find someone.
Josh Rosen?
Yeah, who is this guy? We've got a quarterback. We've got a decent one in the practice squad. What's going on there?
Yeah, what's going on there?
They had the shot of him in the stands, didn't they? He didn't look very happy.
Yeah.
No, he looked very bored, didn't he? Waiting for the game to kick off. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Rosen and how that progresses over the season.
So last question. Again, I'm going to give each of you a magic wand. And, if you were Coach Arians, what's the one thing you would do from last week into next week? Tim, it's your turn. We'll start with you first.
I would kick all the offensive linemen as hard as possible all week. And say, you go forward when we're running, and you block properly with your feet and your hands when we're passing. You did nothing like that. I will doff my cap to Wirfs, so I thought he was superb.
So for Tim, it's a big kick up the backside for Tim for the O-line. Alex, what are you going to go for?
It's a second kick to the O-line as far as I'm concerned. But in particular, the biggest one goes to Donovan Smith. So I've been sitting on his name waiting to say it for a while now. Tim's right. The O-line really does need some work, and they need some hard words, I think, said to them, because otherwise we're going to struggle. The only reason I said this in one of the first episodes of the podcast that we did, the only reason Jameis Winston survived 5 seasons with us was because he can run. Tom Brady can't run. I have Donovan Smith, and I'm sorry to pick on him, but he was, out of all the O-line, he was the worst on Sunday. If Donovan Smith keeps blocking, or should I say not blocking the way he does, Brady's not going to see the end of this season because he's going to be on IR. So that O-line really needs sorting.
Okay, and then Gary, your turn with the magic wand.
Well, I've just alluded to it. I would, if I was Bruce Arians, do whatever I could possibly do to find a return game. Get better starting field position. That's really what it's all about. So it might well be Mickens might be the guy. And as you say, we didn't see it on Sunday. So, work in progress possibly, but find a return game would be my answer to that.
So now it's time for our members to have their say. The forum thread was manic, is the only word I can use on Sunday. I think it was the third or fourth biggest forum thread we've ever had. It was really amazing to see so many of the old members and the new members online. And I've chosen a select couple of quotations. So this one's from Andy Harwood. Great to be a part of the live chat forum last night. Looking forward to next week too. That first drive was brilliant, calm, composed, varied, and I didn't expect TB12 to sneak it over the line at the conclusion. I don't think any of us did, and I had my heart in my mouth. Please, let's never run that play again.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I fully expected him to throw the ball and, his first touchdown for us to be a pass thing. Yeah, to see the sneak, it was great to see, but like you say, a very big surprise on that one.
And again, the stats, that is the oldest player in the NFL to score a touchdown now.
Yeah.
Nobody expected it, and that's why it worked.
Yeah. So let's never do it. Bruce, if you're watching, never do that again.
Yeah.
My heart can't take that. So Nick Mort, who, as we know, is a quarterback connoisseur. Just remember the year we won the Super Bowl, we lost to the Saints in the first week. The team will be beasted by the coaching staff this week to iron out the simple mistakes. Hopefully it works. Without a proper preseason to iron out the mistakes, this was always going to be a hard game. So I think he agrees with what we've been saying. And I think actually looking at various social media, I think a lot of people have, normally after week one, half the NFL is going to win the Super Bowl and the other half are sort of hanging from the rafters. I think we've got a sense of perspective on this.
Yeah, the other half are tanking for Trevor Lawrence, aren't they?
Yeah, it was the hardest start of the season they could have given us. But
Absolutely.
it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
Move
100%.
forward now.
And
Absolutely.
then from Gary Woolard on D, Murphy, Bunting, David and White were outstanding. As you said, Winfield could become a real gem. Actually, we didn't talk very much, Ham. We talked about the secondary generally. JPP, Golston and Barrett were as expected. A couple of one-off individual errors cost us big time. I think that's probably a fair point. We weren't outclassed on D. We weren't outgamed. I think we've said that. So that's our review of the game. At this point, we have to have our obligatory thank you to Bucs Report for helping us promote the podcast. And of course, you need to subscribe to us on YouTube. You have to press the thumb down there somewhere to like it. Make sure someone else sees it as well. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Please do get involved. We had an amazing week on social media this week, didn't we, Alex? Tell us what happened on Twitter this week.
Oh, goodness. I don't know where to start. It's been not just this week, Kieron. It's been the past month or so. The Buccaneers themselves have been outstanding to us on Twitter. So huge thank you to them for all the love and support they've given us on there. We just passed 3,000 followers as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Considering, I think, was it about a year ago? I think we were about 1,800. So to now have grown by over 1,200 on Twitter is just super. And a big thank you to everyone who's been interacting with myself and Kieron on Twitter as well. I'm sure you'll agree here, Kieron. I enjoy being able to get views from other Bucs UK members and Bucs fans in general on there. So it's just been outstanding. And please keep tweeting us. Please keep posting messages on Facebook and Instagram. We're all of us who are running the social media always keep our eye on it to interact with you. So just a big thank you from us for your support. It's been absolutely amazing, and we can't wait to keep going and keep growing on there.
Absolutely. As we said, during game time, get on the forum. That's where the chat is. And there's lots of fun stuff happening there. So then on to our competitions. We had a load of competitions this week. The ultimate competition got off to a flying start. I won't do the detailed breakdown. It's still a long way to go. But basically, Mark Wilson, you're in first place at the moment. Graham Reed, whoever he is, he's in second place. And Jack Fletcher, you're in third. So as long as we can get Graham to tank by the season's end, that will turn out okay. We also had our winners competition. This is the eliminator competition where you have to pick a team that wins. If you get it right, you get through to the week 2. If you don't, then you're out, and eventually we whittle it down to a winner. We had 109 entries for that competition. That's the most entries I've ever judged for any competition ever. So absolutely blown away by the support of everyone coming into that. And watch this space on the forum for an update on who made it through. I haven't gone through and done all my sums yet, but I think we've probably lost.
I
about
made
a
it
third.
through.
Oh, well,
Yes,
there you go.
I'm
Gary's
me.
going to win. Graham's going to win that
I'm
one.
me.
And Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. And so we'll up to that. And then we also had our week 1 competition, which was around who could guess accurately enough the combined passing yards for both teams and whether Drew Brees or Tom Brady would have been the quarterback with the most yards. Brady, in fact, had 239 yards. He did much better than Drew Brees, who had 160, and Hill chipped in with 38 when they were running up the score and razzle-dazzling at the end. So there were 437 yards. Our winner is Paul Holdaway from Worthing. Well done to you. You won it by
Well
1
done.
yard.
Ooh.
So that was super
Wow.
close. And
Close.
I won't embarrass on YouTube the person that guessed 1,100 yards for the combined total,
Oh,
which I think would have been an all-time NFL record by about 100 yards. So anyway, we're moving swiftly on. We've obviously got our fantasy football leagues as well. All 4 of those got underway. And again, looking on the forum, each of the fantasy league commissioners have been posting updates on the forum. Our week 2 competition is now live, or at least it will be by the time you see this. So please do go onto the forum again and get entering for that. There's some cracking prizes, lots of Bucs UK memorabilia and things up for wing. But our last competition, and I think I've left the best till last, is one of our members, Ryan Isherwood, came back from the States and he's got a Bucs t-shirt that he wants to give away to one of our members. So again, a really nice gesture. He wants to give back. So to keep it really simple, we just started a thread on the forum. All you had to do was post in there pretty much saying that Ryan's a pretty sort of all right kind of guy. And we did that. And so Tom Lawrence, Dom Hodgkinson, Dave Chambers, Gary Willard, Gary Botley, whoever that is, Alistair Cook, Neil Coombs, Stuart Blackmore, Chris Griffiths, Richard Balkin, Adam McTaggart, Philip Bushby, Graham Beveridge, Andrew Holt, and Daniel Hughes. Breathe. They are all in the running for this. So we are going to do the draw live. And you can, again, hopefully by the magic of the internet, we'll show this.
No.
Can you see that now?
Yes.
Can now. Yep. Can now.
Very impressive.
This
Oh,
is the infamous
good.
wheel of names. Who will be the
Very
winner?
good.
Who will
And
be
you
the winner? Here we go.
You spelt my name right. Well done.
I'll try my best. Try my best. Who's it going? Oh, Adam. Is it Adam? No, it's Philip.
Yay!
Philip, you're the winner of the t-shirt. Well done to you, sir. Perfect. That's a bit of drama
Yes.
for you, wasn't it?
Well
Excellent.
done, Philip. I'm not jealous
job.
at all.
And it's lucky Gary didn't win, or they would think it would be fixed.
I won't tell you where Philip lives because he's probably not safe anymore. Okay, so that leaves the interesting matter of next week. As a very good coach once said, we're on to Carolina, so that's where we're looking to next. So we're going to preview the upcoming game. Carolina come to town to Tampa to play the Bucs at home, but unfortunately there won't be much in the way of a crowd there. Alex, tell me what you think is one key to the game for us against the Panthers.
I think it's quite an obvious one, and that's stop Christian McCaffrey. The offense goes through him. If you stop McCaffrey, I think you beat the Panthers there. So if we do what we do on defense, we've got a good. We're really good against the run. If we just keep doing what we're doing, I'm becoming a bigger fan game by game of Todd Bowles' defense. I loved it last season, and my love for this defense keeps growing with how good we are against the run. So stop Christian McCaffrey, and I think we're going to be pretty good there.
It's the obvious point, but it's definitely worth making. Gary, what's your key to the game?
Well, I've written down 5 different things here, just in case other people said the same thing. Top of the list, stop McCaffrey. Just as an aside, against us last year in 2 games, he got 110 yards in total. Last Sunday against the Raiders, he got 134 alone. So, yeah, stop him. Protect the football. That was the second one.
Okay.
I mean, I've made it known I'm a big fan of Jameis Winston. There is a shirt hanging there that he very kindly autographed for me. But he threw the ball to the guys in the wrong colour shirts. Tom Brady is now on track to beat his 30 interceptions from last year. Obviously, he's not going to, but you've got to protect the football. Throw the football to the guys in the red shirts or white shirts.
That's one of those statistical
yeah.
anomalies. If Tom Brady's on 4 interceptions after week 2 and that carries on, then I think we might have sterner words. Tim, for you, what's your key to the game?
Well, there's two for me. One I've already mentioned previously, which is the offensive line. They've got to do a better job to start with. But my key to the game is my current Bucs hero and game shirt is Devin White. I again said earlier, what we did with Brooks marking Vic out of the game, he needs to do the same with McCaffrey. If he do that, the Bucs will win.
So my next question was going to be, a player to watch for the Bucs and then for the Panthers. So for you, is it Devin White then?
I would say so. Virtually every game I watch Devin White closely.
And what do you think? I mean, is Devin literally just the McCaffrey man, or is he going to have to do something else?
He will have to cover everywhere, but the key part to his game will be marking McCaffrey out of the game. That's if they just put him onto McCaffrey, the Bucs will win.
Because in days of yore, if you were that middle linebacker, actually half the time you were trying to shadow Cam Newton, and he was running all over the place. So in a way, maybe that's a simpler job now. Do you think?
It's the same job he's got to do. Bit simpler, but the only problem is now he's got to get past a couple of big 320-pound linemen to get to him. If he does, he'll be fine, and that's the key to the game.
And Alex, who's your Buck to watch this week?
Well, I think because I think we're going to do pretty well in terms of stopping the run game. I think we've then got to look at our defensive backs because another dangerous player that Carolina have got is it's DJ Moore. I think if I've got that. Yes, DJ Moore. So I think and everyone knows that our pass defense is weaker than our run defense. So I think we need to look at. I'm going to assume it'll probably be Sean Murphy-Bunting who is put on DJ Moore. So on that basis, I think we'll need to watch him and make sure that he's doing a good job, or whoever's on DJ Moore, to limit Carolina's ability to get the ball down the field in big hits like that. So that could be really interesting one to watch.
I agree, Alex. He's a big player to take out the game, but I would put Carlton Davis there, who's our best cover guy.
Or Carlton Davis, actually, yes, good point. Yeah, or Davis, yeah, whoever's on him, whichever Bucs player it is, I think that'll be a key matchup and a key player to watch.
And they've got some big shoes to fill because that's a tough job. I mean, we talk about Michael Thomas, but I would put it on a par with that in many ways. Certainly in terms of his value to the team. Gary, who's your Buck to watch?
Well, I'm going offense. I think the defense will be pretty good. I don't think Carolina are any great shakes on offense if we do stop McCaffrey. So the person I want to see have a really big game is Mike Evans. If we're right and his hamstring isn't that bad, I'm looking for this to be a bounce back game for him, more on a par with what we're used to. So he needs to get in sync with Tom, but he's the guy that I'll be watching and hoping that he has a big game.
I like it. Actually, if I was going to pick, I would go offense as well, and I would have Scott Miller. I want to see if he can do it for a second week in a row, because there's no preseason game tape, so everything that the Panthers will have been watching this week will have been that Saints game. They'll have been poring over it and picking it apart, which means they'll have watched what he did on those plays many, many times. So if he does a little dip of the shoulder or he's running a certain route, they're going to know about that. So this is going to be a harder game from him. And if Evans isn't, up to scratch 100%, it's all very well, getting a sort of 46-yard DPI calls, but actually at some point you've got to catch some balls and run them in. So, I think, we need another receiver, I think, to step up. So that would be my call.
Can I just mention one other offensive player who needs to step up? Donovan Smith. If we can see how weak he was, what are the Panthers thinking all week?
I think that's a good point,
Good
Tim.
point.
You know, if I'm the Panthers defensive coordinator, I'm going to put my best rusher, whoever they are, I'm going to line them up against Donovan Smith, because right now I'm going to feel pretty confident that they're going to get him out the way and get to Brady. So I think that's a good point there.
And then if I'm Byron Leftwich, I'm going to keep my backs in a little bit longer. I noticed the tight ends, often you get the tight end to maybe chip on a block and help the tackle out. We weren't doing a great deal of that as far as I could tell. And in terms of keeping the backs in, normally as a back, you'd see the first man through. And then if there was no one, then you'd release out for the pass. Again, it looks like we're scheming to try and get directly out to where we're going. I think it's because we tried running some screens and things like that obviously need that. But I feel like, there's something we can do in terms of the X's and the O's on the chalkboard to try and help him out.
They'll get it sorted. They'll get it together.
So now you have to put your money where your mouth is. What's the score going to be, Gary? How's it going to go?
I'd love to say it's going to be a blowout victory, but we don't get blowout victories. I don't think any team gets blowout victories these days. I still think we're going to win. I think it'll be reasonably comfortable. I'm guessing somewhere in the region of 31-21.
Okay, so 10-point win for the Bucs.
Yeah.
Tim, what do you reckon?
I will be happy just with a win. I'll be gutted because this was the first game of the season I was
2-0 then. 2-0 to the Bucs.
I don't think it'll be quite 2-0 or 3-0. Probably in the region of 28-20 Bucs. I don't see us losing this game.
And Alex?
Yeah, I on this occasion I'm going to have to disagree with Gary because turning on his head this time. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as that. After last week, my confidence has taken a bit of a hit. I think we're going to be looking at around something like 24-17 to the Bucs, but I think it's going to be a bit closer and not as high scoring as that personally.
Interesting. I think actually I would agree with you, Alex. I'm just going to put it out there. I was the only person that correctly picked the loss against the Saints. That gives me no pleasure whatsoever, other than the fact that I was right. So I think this week, I agree, low scoring. I'm going to say 17-0 to the Bucs.
Wow.
And one of those scores will be an interception return.
Wow.
I hope so. I've got the Bucs D in one of my fantasy
Yes. I think I'll put them into mine now, Gary.
So if I'm the voice of doom normally, and even I'm predicting a win, then something good must happen.
Yeah.
So we do have, again, some member comments looking ahead to the game. So our first up is someone familiar to us, David Cambridge. This was I think the end of the forum. It'd been a long day. Good night, all. Our season starts next week. Today was just pre-season.
Nice, Dave.
It's hard to disagree with him, isn't it? John Davis, JD. I had that down as an L in our prediction, so not too bothered. Lots of things to iron out, but the Panthers next week is a good fixture for us to get to 50%. So I think he can see good things coming. And Alistair Cook, very optimistic. The Panthers just conceded 34 points to an average Raiders team, and I think we can put up at least 30 on them too. Mike Evans, a hamstring appears okay, fingers crossed. And I think as long as we can keep DJ Moore and CMC quiet, it will be a comfortable victory. So I think, absolutely agreeing everything we've said. That means we've all been drinking the same Kool-Aid, or we must know what we're talking about. So that's everything from our episode this week. Join us again next week when we will be doing the same thing all over again. We will be pouring over and lavishing our victory against the Panthers and wondering what's going to happen as we go up to the Broncos. So thank you all for joining us, and goodbye from our hosts.
Bye, all.
Bye, everyone.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.